Let's bring in the professor, Professor Jason Jones of The Athletic. Jay, the sky's falling here in Sacramento, man. It's not good.
Yeah, it's cancel the season. It's over. It's over.
J- Jason's having flashbacks of when he covered the team. He's like, "Oh, I remember these
It's
conversations."
over. Yeah, it's
I remember
over.
these conversations.
Start watching college basketball now, seeing who's going to be in the top 10. Just
Was
it's
it
over.
was it tankathon.com?
Yeah, just go ahead and cancel this whole thing. It's over with. Yeah. What are we? 6 games in. It's over. It's over.
6 games in, and it's really only 2 that have looked bad.
Mhm.
I think part of the jarring thing with when talking about the offense is the Kings obviously lost to the Warriors in the game everybody seemed to be okay with 102-101. But again, like now 2 games later, it's like, man, they only scored 101 points in that loss to the Warriors. And now it feels like, Jay, the identity that they had last year is gone.
Well, I mean, I think you go through stretches over the course of 82 games where you're not going to look right. So
Mhm.
I just think like I've said, it looks worse because it's this part of the season.
Yeah.
If they had played 40 something games and this happens, in February, I don't think anyone's freaking out like, oh my God, it's early and De'Aaron didn't play in these games. And also, like I've always said, if you're going to let teams shoot 60, 55%, and then you can't, then, and in turn, without De'Aaron, they don't have offense right now. You're going to, I mean, I don't think, I wouldn't think it'd be down by 40 or whatever it was last night, but you're going to have some rough nights when you can't, especially when you can't get stops. I mean, they almost got, without De'Aaron, they've almost got to play like they played against the Warriors, make it close and ugly, muck it up, get second chance points. They got to do stuff like that. And if they're not going to get that, you're going to get, you're going to get nights like last night sometime. But I mean, I think another thing I always say, some games are so bad or so good, you're going to throw them out because they're such big outliers. I don't think they'll have a lot of games where they'll be down 40.
Yeah, I
Hope
agree.
so.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the things that we've been talking about and discussing, and I've said is I thought that to a certain degree there was a little bit of an overemphasis on defense, defense, defense with this particular group. Clearly, they had to be a better defensive team this year. We all knew that, but I always thought that it should have been coupled with, hey, you know how we get down offensively. We cook on offense. We're gonna get better on defense. We're gonna strive to get better. But a confidence, emboldening in the offense is kind of what I was looking for. And in return, it felt to me, I'll just speak for me personally, where it was you kind of disregard, like this was from eternally, like Mike and guys like that. You disregard what you do on offense. It's like that's not good enough. We got to get better on defense. Do you feel like that happened at all, or is that, I don't know, maybe just in my head that, there was a disregard of what I thought made them a special team last year?
I don't think it's a disregard. I think you look at these last 3 games, the engine of that offense isn't there. And I think, if anything, this highlights how important De'Aaron is. You don't have anyone who can duplicate what he does. You don't have enough. You don't have many guys in the league who can scare a defense the way De'Aaron can by just getting the ball and taking off. I just think you can't duplicate that. And so, if you don't have De'Aaron, you got to figure out some different ways. You got to figure out some different things. And part of it is the guys out there got to play better. You got to get more from Harrison, more from more from Keegan, more from Kevin, more from you got to get more from those guys. And if you're not going to get that, and I think when you're not getting that, and you're also not getting defense from those guys, from that group, it's just going to be ugly. I just think, if anything, this highlights just how good De'Aaron is, because once you drop him into that, on the court, I think they look completely different.
Is there any
I think you had to emphasize defense though at some level. I don't think that you're not going to turn these guys into the 1989 Pistons. So I don't worry about that. But you also can't be, like I always say, 50, 40, 90. You can't give that up every night either. So I think over the course of the season, if they can just make improvements defensively, and like I said, you'll have De'Aaron most of the season more than likely, I think they'll be okay.
And real quick, and that's the other thing about it. Either way, right? If the Kings would have came out in 3 games and had the #1 rated defense in basketball, it would kind of be crazy to be like, they're fixed. Like, no, it's 3 games, and it's the same thing on the other side. Like, they haven't played great defense so far. That doesn't mean they can't implement and improve over the course of the season, and I feel like that should have kind of been the discussion as opposed to game 1, we're gonna be better defensively. Like, no, it doesn't matter if you're great game 1 or not. Like, you're trying to get better throughout the year. That's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah, and De'Aaron's gonna be part of that improved defense too. Don't forget that. I mean, so you think about that Warriors game. It's one thing when Clay has to shoot over 6'3" De'Aaron than he does over 5'11" Davion Mitchell. So I think there's going to be over the course of 80, like I said, of course of an 82 game season, you're going to see some things. I think you'll see some things, and I can't get all worked up about 3 games without De'Aaron, especially. I can't act like, oh my God, they're going to be terrible this season. Let him get back and then see what happens.
Is there something to be said for Kings fans who are frustrated with the way that they play, because the way that they've played, particularly in Houston, that you guys have played games without De'Aaron before, but you never looked as lost as you did against Houston? It was like Houston, and I think part of that is that it was also Houston, right? It wasn't as much as we believe that they're better. It wasn't Milwaukee, it wasn't Philadelphia, it wasn't Boston. It wasn't a team like that. It was a team that you, I think, beat 4 times last year. And regardless of the work that they did this offseason, you still don't see him as a title contender. You still don't see him, maybe some people have changed their mind now about being a playoff contender. But now it's just like you look like lost. You shouldn't look that lost because De'Aaron is gone.
Right. But I do think Houston's a better team.
Absolutely.
I think they're definitely a better team. And I think you can't look at them like, outside of what I'd say, outside of Portland, which is going really young for the most part, and they're not going to have Robert Will. Outside of Portland, I don't see a whole lot of. Even Portland's not a gimme game, but there aren't a lot of gimmies in the West. You're not going to have a lot of nights where you can say, you know what, we should beat that team no matter what we do. You can't roll the ball out there and expect to beat the Rockets now. I know everyone makes fun of Dillon Brooks, but Dillon Brooks is a good defensive player. He makes a difference. Fred VanVleet's an NBA champion. I like Jalen Green. Sengun was giving them the business last night. It was like Sabonis was looking in the mirror, and he saw a younger version who was just going at him. That team, they got Jabari. That team's got talent. So I think you can't look at it, that's just the Rockets. You've got to say, you know what, that team has talent. They went out and got some guys to make them better. And if the Kings I haven't been in the locker room to say that if they go into any game thinking, okay, we should beat that team, yeah, you might get what you got down in Houston for 2 games. And yeah, I do understand fans being frustrated because even without De'Aaron, they just got smacked around. I've turned the game on and said, okay, I don't need to watch anymore. I'm turning back to Monday Night Raw. I don't need to watch any more of this. I said, this is just, there was a couple of plays in a row where Sengun just got the ball, did whatever he wanted. And a lot of times when I'll watch on League Pass, listen to the other teams, announce teams just to get a different perspective. And they're just saying, my gosh, they're not making them uncomfortable at all. These guys are they're not even bothering them. And that's, if you're a Kings fan, that's the most frustrating part of it too. Not just that you lost. Basically, you had the Houston Rockets coming out there getting a light scrimmage in, and then letting their backups go in there and get some run too. So yeah, you should be upset about.
In that situation, it's always a collective. But what are 2 or 3 guys that you're looking at to elevate their game in the absence of somebody like De'Aaron? Like, that's one of the other thing that we look at. Like, not only did guys not like play well, they played about what they are. Nobody stepped up. We're not saying one person should have 33, in place of De'Aaron, but we couldn't even get one guy with 15 and one guy with 17. Like, nobody was. Who are you looking at to step up in those situations?
You need Malik to play a lot better because he can create. You need a guy who can go out. He can get his shot and create for other people. So you need that. I think, I don't think Davion's going to be a 20 a night guy, but he's got to give you something. Yeah. And you said, and you need Keegan. Mike Brown's going on all the smoke. Talk about Keegan's going to be that 3rd star, 4th overall pick in the draft last year. He's got to be able to give you something. He's got to be able to go out there and make an impact. if he's going to be that guy. I mean, it's like I said, it's early in year 2, but yeah, he's got to give you something. He can't just be a guy out there. He's got to go out there and impose his will on a game. Because if he's going to be the star they want him to be, now is where you show you can be that guy and you're not just a complimentary piece. Because if not, hey, you're a nice, going into the draft, a lot of guys compared Keegan to Harrison Barnes in the sense that he's a solid pro. He'll be a solid player, but we don't see superstar. And if you want to distinguish yourself, these are the moments where you look around and say, okay, you know what, Keegan, yeah, Dylan Brooks is a good, they got some good, defenders over there, but go out there, create, go out there and get 25. Go out there and get, show us you can do that. So, like I said, it's a couple of bad games, but I think those guys have to play better for the Kings to, have a chance to win some of these games.
I need a Malik Monk pep talk. That's what I need. I need Malik at the podium. Like, everything's fine. We're good. Like, that's
calm everything.
Like
down.
Malik is wild as Malik is on the court. He's a really calming presence when he just, we're fine. No, we're fine. We got to do a couple of things better. We got to do this. We got to do that. But we're fine. I need that. I don't want to hear from Mike no more. God bless him. I love Mike Brown. I don't want to hear from him no more. Send Malik to the podium. I need Malik to tell me everything's fine. This is what we need to do. Because if Malik says something, if Malik goes to the podium with an attitude, something's definitely wrong. Because he never wavered last year.
Yeah,
he never
make sure the Kings are listening. Yeah, get Malik on the podium. Well, I guess you don't want him to go. You don't want him to lose the next game for Malik to do that. But yeah, have Malik do a Zoom or something, or go on Instagram and say it's going to be okay. Like I said, 6, 7. I don't think you can really start judging an NBA team until about 20 games in. Yeah. So I just think this is a rough stretch. If they go ahead and play the way they're capable of playing, people will be saying, man, remember when they had that rough time in Houston and the Rockets wore them out for 2 games? I just think we
was a turning point.
Remember when Dylan Brooks kicked their ass?
Yeah.
Look at their record.
Enough games right now to be able to do that. Right now, all you got is 3-game losing streak. Oh my God, they look terrible right now.
Yeah. One of the things that, and it's hard to say right now because they did lose by so much last night and got beat by 20 on Saturday. One of the things I was thinking about, though, coming into the season and never really talked about, is I do feel like there may be a flip in records for the Kings' record at home and away. Last year, they were one of the only teams to win 20-plus games on the road, and their home record was a little pedestrian. I could see that flipping this year. I could see them being better, a lot better at home, and kind of evening out a little bit on the road. And like I said, you don't want to lose 2 games at Houston if you're trying to be a top team. You definitely don't want to lose them that way. But come back home for these next 3 games. Try and go 2-1, 3-0, whatever. But the whole point is I think they're going to be better at home this year than they were last year. And they may take a step back. They probably will take a step back on the road this year.
I mean, you would hope so. I mean, they got one of the best home court advantages in basketball. I mean, you would hope that they could parlay that into a better home record. But like I said, what they got, 3 road games all season already, like 3, 4. No, no need to, I don't think we need what's wrong with the Kings think pieces just yet. I just think we got, I just think you got to
go right here.
I mean, I don't think we need to, break down, too deeply what's wrong. I mean, there's some things to fix, but also there's, they got, they'll get healthy. I mean, you'll get De'Aaron back eventually. Trey Lyles will eventually be back and rolling and back, kind of get back into the role he was in last season. I think I'm not panicked about them. I mean, there's not really a team I look at right now and go, oh my God, unless you're Memphis and say, oh yeah, they're cooked.
I can't believe we didn't put this together earlier. What could turn the Kings season around? Firing Josh McDaniels.
Well,
if you fire Josh McDaniels, it really sets the vibes through the roof.
I'll buy the cigars.
Yeah, man, they fired Josh McDaniels. I had a great workout that next day. I mean, got on the scale, down 3 pounds. I mean,
shaved.
Life got great. When I got someone text me that night, and I was like, like today, like right now? Or you mean like I was like, and Dave, like right now?
That was like that was Tuesday. I think that was after we had talked to you
Yeah,
today.
after I had
Yeah.
said you got to get rid of both of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't keep one of the. You got to get rid of them both. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it was like waking up on the. Woke up the next morning, birds were singing. It was. Yeah, I remember when he got fired in Denver, and I have a couple of friends who were Bronco fans, and they were like on cloud nine, and I was like, they were on that Aaron Rodgers, whatever he be taking. I was like, why are you guys? So I'm like, now I see why. I'm like, yeah, this guy had, yeah. I mean, I had never seen a group of players in a long time be so happy. I mean,
Yes.
it was, because honestly, if Josh was still the coach, I would not have been shocked that they had lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
It would not have surprised me at all.
I mean, that story about, the meeting, Aaron, the grievances, and he comes back to Antonio Pierce. It's like, don't ever talk. It's like, bro, don't ever talk about the Patriots, right? Don't ever talk about the Patriots. It's just a microcosm of, get this guy out of here. Like, what are you talking about? Like, your team is dying in front of you, and you worried about somebody talking about when they played the Patriots.
Nah, bro, your team is murdering you in front of you. That's what you need to be concerned about.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's ever been around a football team or watched, football closely could tell that team was done with him.
Mhm.
And you saw it last season. I mean, how many double-digit leads did they blow? Like I said, I knew it was bad when Daniel Carlson couldn't make field goals anymore. I was like, I said, this is just, I said, this guy's got to go. I mean, to me, it was evident last year. I was like, you can't bring this. I mean, I knew they were going to bring him back. I said, you can't. I said, if you want to win, you can't bring this guy back. I mean, like I said, even maybe Jimmy G's past his prime or whatever, but I had never seen Jimmy look so terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked beyond bad. I'm like, maybe I'm like, is he not healthy? I'm like, I mean, guys who had never, guys just regressed with him. And they didn't, guys clearly weren't having fun. Guys clearly weren't happy. I mean, it was just obvious. I mean, I think everyone thought, well, maybe they should trade Devontae. I'm like, you don't trade Devontae Adams. You get rid of the guy who's turned every good player you had into a worse version of themselves.
And they did it. And I don't think anyone here thought they actually would.
Nah,
and the GM. I was like, okay, yeah, maybe you guys can go out and actually get some, make some. I mean, like, did any of their free agent decisions work out? Like any of them?
People got to apologize to Mark. They didn't think he'd do it.
Well, I don't know. You have to go so far as to
yeah, I don't know if people are going
to. We need to do that. But
I mean, I think Mark owes everyone an apology for agreeing to bring on Dave Ziegler at the request of Josh McDaniels and giving out 6-year deals.
That's pretty wild.
He was like, I'm gonna give you guys a 10-year. How about 6? I was like, no, Mark. Next guy gets 4. 3 or 4. We're gonna do things normal, Mark. We're gonna act like your father. You're not gonna give out 10-year deals and 6-year deals and. But hey, the one thing about being in Vegas and all of that money he's making, he can afford to fire these guys now. Before, like
Al Davis is the picture of normalcy now in Raider Nation. That's pretty wild.
I was just like, I mean, to see the way those guys were flying around the field and like they actually enjoyed them. I mean, they actually played Trey Tucker, who a team that needs some speed, actually played him.
Well, they also signed Hunter Renfrow during the week, and it's a good ball player. Oh, he was already on the team. My bad.
That was so bizarre. They gave Hunter Renfrow an extension and just stopped playing him. It's like, what is this? Crazy. Man caught 100 passes 2 years ago. Now the guy can't get on the field. I mean, it's like, yeah, they did a number of weird things that I'll never understand, but hey, the Patriot way can go back. Well, the Patriot way sucks right now too, right now.
It's trash.
Yeah, go ahead. The Patriot way is called Tom Brady.
Facts. Hey, I was just thinking about something. Do you have any connection to Antonio Pierce?
Outside that he coached my high school, no.
Oh, okay. I know. I mean, I know.
I might have met him once. I might have met him once when he was coaching at Poly.
Okay.
I went down and caught a game or whatever. But yeah, I don't actually know Antonio. I know people who know Antonio, and everyone's always said good things about him to me. But they needed just that change in energy. I mean, whenever I heard Josh talk in a presser, I felt bad. Like, he made me feel bad for no reason at all. I catch a presser, I'm like, man, I need a drink. Like, what? He was just a downer. Like, how did the game go? Oh, Aiden O'Connell needs to do better with the ball. Hold up, man. You're just gonna bury the rookie in his first start when you asked a rookie tight end to block Khalil Mack.
That was crazy.
Well, that was also after Jimmy had thrown like 9 interceptions on the season. He makes it a point to point out that the rookie quarterback who was starting in place of his, again, injured starting quarterback threw an interception.
Then he also started Brian Hoyer for some unknown reason.
Well, because he knew him from the Patriots.
It's like he actually put Brian Hoyer. And the best part of that story is when they said on TV, Hoyer's kids were like, we hope Aiden starts because we don't want our dad to get hurt.
Damn.
Jeez.
And then
I'm convinced Josh McDaniels would have signed Matt Castle if he could.
He would have asked Rodney Harrison, "What are you doing?" I mean,
hey, man,
Wednesday night, hey man, I know you got a suit on, but hey, Patriot way,
still got that deer antler spray, bro.
Man, I can't believe this dude was really offended because Antonio Pierce said when we played the Patriots.
At this point,
to the side, it was like, "Hey, bro, don't talk about the Patriots, bro."
But
you were just trying to work the voice in for Jason Jones. Don't do that.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Like I said, that was like a late birthday present for me because I was like, I couldn't stand to even watch them play. They looked miserable playing. They just looked like, okay, here, I mean, their offense was unwatchable. Like, it was like watching like a 1980s, we don't use the whole field offense.
So I'll ask you this then. Do you think that you think they got enough to make a run at a playoff spot? Do they have the talent on the roster, in your opinion?
They got the talent. If they can win this game and get to 5-5, they're right in the mix with it. I think the one thing Mark did by firing him when he did, well, I mean, think about Mark fired him on a short week at that. He fired him on, But what he did do was classic Raider was he had Josh do media all day, then fired him that night. But I think if they can beat the Jets, which is without Josh, there is actually a possibility now. I mean, I had them losing to everybody with Josh as the coach. Remember I said before the year, at least he would cost them at least 6 games.
Yeah,
I said it would cost them at least 6.
He was on his way.
Yeah, he was going to make it happen. I mean, they did lose to that guy from Chicago who still can't win a game now. He looks terrible now.
Oh man.
He lost to Jeff Saturday. I mean,
Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, that Jeff Saturday is going on his tombstone.
Yeah, every time I see Jeff Saturday on TV, I just go, "Wow, he came to Vegas after doing NFL." Doing NFL analyst work at ESPN on a Sunday, and he beat you a week later.
Jeff Saturday is the poster child for if you're doing something else in life and they ask you to coach, just say no. Like, look at you ever see the President Obama entering office pictures and the President Obama exiting office pictures? Yeah. That looked like Jeff Saturday in like 3 months. My man had worked so hard to lose weight after his playing career. He looked great on television. He goes to coach for 3 months. His hair's all frazzled and gray. He's gained weight. He is the perfect.
And then he got
in life. Keep doing it.
Yeah, it was a setup too because he got to go against Josh McDaniels in his first. He's like, yeah, we won the. I mean, that's the game where like Matt Ryan ran for like 40 yards on one play.
Ryan looking like Michael Vick during his Madden cover season.
I was like, they should have resigned in the middle of the game for allowing that. Like Matt Ryan retires like 3 months later.
Oh man, that was Matt Ryan's last great moment as a quarterback, right there.
And like I said, what's crazy is that Bears game was bad. It wasn't even Josh's worst loss as the Raiders coach.
Well, he is gone now. Cigars are ready to be, lit in the locker room after wins, and everything's all.
I love the idea of the victory cigar.
Yeah, keep it going.
I like the idea of anything not related to Josh McDaniels. But whatever it was, do the opposite. They're playing NWA and Cube and Easy. Yeah, if Josh was against it, do it. Do anything to erase the memory that he was ever a part of the organization. I mean, even go to they put like his visor in Canton because he was the coach when they won their 500th game, whatever it was. Go take his visor out of Canton. Just pretend like this never happened, and just go on with the history of the Raiders without the Josh McDaniels era, which gave us really nothing to remember that was positive.
No, nothing at all. We'll switch back to hoop real quick, man. What you looking at in the NBA right now? Who's caught your eye? Is it Boston? Is it Anthony Edwards? Like who's kind of catching your eyes right now?
Outside of the obvious stuff like Victor Wembanyama being a AI generated 2K player. I mean, I don't. I mean, the Warriors just because they're off to a good start. I mean, Chris, maybe they can turn Chris Paul into sixth man of the year.
Man.
I mean that's they've been Steph, being Steph to start the year. I'm still intrigued by Milwaukee. I think they're going to need some time to figure it out. I think everyone knew that defensively they take a step back without Drew, so I'm curious to how they're going to fix that. Because right now they've had their share of struggles defensively to start the year. But Jaylen Brown out here putting people on posters, even though they won the game. But hey, Jaylen's anybody from Cal, I gotta give props to. But I mean, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. I wonder how the Clippers are going to make this thing work down there now. And
do you think that Anthony Edwards can be an MVP candidate? Maybe not, but like, is he that type of player where he can be an MVP candidate in this league?
Yeah, I think so. I think he can be.
I think he's one.
Because part of being the MVP is having some charisma. I think get the voters' attention, and he's a fun personality. I mean, every time I hear him talk, I enjoy it. I mean, like a while back when A-Rod bought the team, got the ownership, he was like, I didn't know anything about that. Then hear him talk about how he played baseball and he could be a swimmer. He's like, anything I can do. I just think he has the personality and the game. And
then he played a movie villain.
Yeah, he did. He killed it in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, he can. He can do. Yeah, he's so likable. I mean, so I think he can definitely be in that. Yeah, I think he's a button superstar. I don't know how the T-Wolves will do this year overall, but he's one of those league pass guys where you got league pass, you got to watch him play. I mean, there's a few guys like I said, Wembanyama's like that. I wonder, will the Suns ever have a whole team? So we can actually see what their thing is going to look like.
Not looking great.
I'm looking at my boys in LA and like, wow, all the young guys got hurt instead of LeBron.
That's crazy.
Like all the young guys got hurt like in 2 days. But I mean, like I said, it's early. I've seen a lot of good games. I like the fact that guys seem to care right now. Like that Laker Clipper game was fun to watch last week.
Yeah.
Guys, Kawhi
Leonard. Golden State was a really good one too.
Yeah, guys actually seem to are caring. I don't think it's because of that in-season tournament thing, which I still don't quite understand all the way.
None of us do.
Because
they don't. Even the players don't. They're like, we're not really sure, but the courts are different. The jerseys are different. The fans seem to be really excited. So let's go with it.
I agree with Tyrese Halliburton said. The winner of the tournament should get a free automatic playoff berth.
That's pretty wild.
They should be. I mean, if I were running the league, I would say you win the in-season tournament, you could be no lower than 6. So no matter what happens, you're the 6th seed.
You get a guaranteed series.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give guys an incentive to win the tournament, think about it. If you're an older team and you want to say you're like you are like a Lakers or the Clippers or a team like that, where you're like, or maybe in Miami, a team that over the course of the season might really try to rest some guys. If you can win the in-season tournament and you won't be in the play-in, you don't think those guys, you don't think Kawhi is going to suit up for every game in the in-season tournament to try to win it?
For sure. But what happens to the rest?
You got to give them more incentive than just, hey, millionaire, here's a little more money. I mean, we all like money, of course, but I mean, if you're making 40, if you're like Steph and you make 40-something million, I don't know if they're going to be able to pay you enough to incentivize you to be like, I have to win this tournament that says I won this tournament. That really means, I don't know what it means.
In theory, what you're saying sounds great, but say the Clippers do win the in-season tournament. What happens to the rest of the season? You think they don't play now? What are they going to do when they've locked up the top 6 seed in December?
Yeah, in my mind, you're just guaranteed that spot. You can still move up if you're just guaranteed a spot.
I think teams like the Clippers.
So if you
guarantee them
a
series, they would never play Kawhi and Paul George.
True, but I mean, I'm just trying to think. Who knows? Maybe that gets the Spurs to win it. Maybe some team that you think isn't a playoff team says, they get hot.
Based on what I just saw, the Rockets are going to win the in-season tournament.
Maybe, maybe the Kings might be.
Then Dylan Brooks can talk his stuff, So I mean, I'm just trying to find a reason why I would care outside of the court looking different.
If the Rockets win, I demand in-season tournament championship rings.
I demand an in-season tournament parade. Like,
let Sacramento win. We'll plan it.
But do you do the parade in Vegas right after the game, or do you come back home? Do you?
They'll do it in Vegas for sure.
Yeah, they will. We'll be on L Street waiting for you.
Yeah, you got to. To me, you got to do something because I'm just like, it seems cool, but I just don't know. Like, think about it. If the Kings lost the in-season tournament championship game, or is anyone really mad? Like, are you upset that you didn't win
no.
What's the reaction? Like, what's the feeling if you don't win the in-season tournament? You're like, okay, we lost. Don't we play on Tuesday? I mean, I don't know what happens.
Well, no, nothing. I'd be happy if they won just because it means they're winning games. Like they're like you've won your pool. Like you've righted that. If you lose in the finals, I'm not going to pretend like I wouldn't care. If they're in the finals for the in-season tournament championship in Las Vegas, I'm invested.
I'll be a little hot.
But I mean, but you don't want them type of jokes. You don't want how the Kings can run Vegas, but they can't. You don't want like 2 summer league championships coupled with an in-season,
Let's find out together.
Yeah.
Let
me get there.
Like, what if Memphis wins it? Like, what if what if somehow Memphis gets hot and they win it, and then they end up in the lottery? Like
Ja Morant waiting at the Mandalay Bay for the celebration.
Memphis team won it and got in the like that gave them a playoff berth.
Oh my God!
That would be nasty. I mean, I'm just like, hey, what if like the way the tournament played out, like and they got to the final and that was game 25 or game 26, and Ja's eligible to return, and he comes back just for that. I mean, that would be if you're going to write a script for the season, that's the script I want to see. I want to see them somehow plan it like that.
Jay, we appreciate you, man. Thank you as always.
All right, catch y'all next time.
Take care, baby.